So Jobless Reincarnation comes to an end for now as we wait for the summer 2021 anime season to carry on with what I guess they're calling the second season, which I thought they would just call it Season 1 Part 2 like most split cours, because even before Episode 1 dropped, we knew it'd be 23 episodes were in production, 11 in winter, 12 in summer, but I guess, anime in second seasons and split cours, it becomes a weird mess. All we know is we're getting more anime and that's all that matters. Now, this was a really interesting episode. I was curious, would they drop the most ridiculous, crazy cliffhanger, or would they just say, we're gonna tease you with the cliffhanger, and then we'll give you kind of a satisfactory stopping point for 3 months? And honestly, they gave us a pretty satisfying stopping point for 3 months with a kind of tease of the cliffhanger, with Paul sending out some letters saying, everyone's gone missing. I don't have money. I know everyone hates me. But honestly, please, for the love of God, help me find everyone here. Because apparently I think the only one he has left is the baby. It's an interesting way to not only kick off the episode because, we get the openings playing, we're seeing all the slice of life scenes. But out of all the 11 episodes that's happened, this has been the most dark intro of an opening. And to have the ending be the complete opposite, where it's a lot more optimistic and saying, we're gonna set off on an adventure and things will probably be okay. Things are probably gonna pop off next season, I have to say. This is without a doubt one of the freshest isekais I've personally seen. I think, without a doubt, the star is the world. I think that's what makes this show so interesting. And by placing Rudy as a character to follow rather than a character to worship and admire and say, I wish to be Rudy, the author said, watch Rudy's adventure and you'll see a world unlike any other. And what a world it was. I think in terms of everything we've seen of Rudy, I think episode 11 had my favorite miniature arc for his character, because if we look at last week's episode 10, we have someone like Eris saying to Rudyard, trust in Rudy, follow Rudy, and we'll be okay. And in this episode, that immediately bites him in the ass, because he's looking at a way to improve, Dead End's reputation, and to make sure Rudyard won't have to be persecuted and things like that. And in theory, if we look at it just completely objectively, when you see a group of characters struggling to survive, you have healing magic. The longer they struggle, the more they'll be thankful. Most likely, you could say that's the best way. Rudyard and the others, they want to protect right then and there. And immediately after he's planning his, little scheme, this childish scheme, a murder. Death. No magic is going to heal that. And they jump in. To see the reaction from him, I really appreciate, because we literally end last week with Eris saying, if we trust in Rudy, we will be fine. We kicked this episode off and Rudy's judgment got someone killed because he was trying to find the most profitable and best way to improve their reputation. While what he was thinking made sense, and honestly, I was agreeing with him. I was like, that makes sense. I mean, you have healing magic, it shouldn't just immediately be death. They'll probably lose an arm or something, and then immediately I saw a guy get ripped in half, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is actually a brutal environment. It's not a happy-go-lucky isekai where things can, you get a giant hole through your chest and you're going to be a-okay. If that happens, you're probably going to be dead because your heart's already outside of your body. I think a show like this, it has such a weird but I think fascinating way of having characters go up and down, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Because by having Rudy have this really interesting roller coaster of a character arc, you have something that you can't naturally predict. There are certain characteristics about him that will happen. The ending, as an example, Eris is changing into all her different uniforms. He peeps and gets his lights knocked out, or she's bathing and Rudyard has to come in and literally carrying him away like a child because he just can't leave him alone with her for 2 seconds. But this is a show for how he's going to interact with this world is going to be a very interesting evolution. We end the episode with him agreeing that we have to talk with each other before we make decisions. It's going to be like a democracy sort of situation. It won't just be Rudy's words law or Rudyard's word is law. We will talk about it so no one's annoyed by the other's decision. It's a great thought process and I really dig it. But I love how this was an episode to really shake up the foundation. And once Horseface gets brought back into the equation, he learns of the truth of what they're doing. He's blackmailing them, saying if I tell the guild this, the guild will revoke your license. Not only will they lose the ability to work there, they won't be able to work anywhere. And Rudy's actions there, I thought were so fascinating because that was like the moment I feel like a light switch was flipped. And I really like how they were able to flip it from last week, no killing, we don't want to do this, we don't want to ruin the reputation, to him being like, I have to kill this guy, because I will do whatever it takes to get Eris back home. That is my mission right now. And to see that light switch where he was about to shoulder the burden, you have Smile from one perspective, and then clouds are brewing on the next perspective, and then Rudy'S comes in and just says, you know, I'm the real deal, you best not do shit, because if we find out our licenses are revoked, I'm going to kill you. I think it's such night and day, but I think it's like the perfect arc to end Rudy on for this first half here. Because by starting him off thinking his plans of scheming will work out fine, seeing that bloodshed, to then him realizing that he's gonna have to willingly kill people if they get on his bad side and threaten what his plan is. It's so interesting to see, and I think probably I would say my favorite thing about the entire episode was Rudy'S and how he interacts with these kids here, because they lose a team member, and, you know, when he interacts with kids, he pats them on the head, he treats them like children. Adventurer is so mad and scared and sad, he's filled with every emotion, and he just doesn't want to be treated as a kid. It was their ally, their mistake, and at that point, do you want to be treated as a kid who made a dumb mistake, or do you want to be treated as a warrior who lost one of their own? And instead of patting him on the head, he pats him on the shoulder and says, you know, I apologize. It's the little things that make, I think, the interactions in Jobless Reincarnation so engaging to me. And I think, without a doubt, Rudy'S is my favorite character in this show, because having him be a proud warrior who's been so isolated because everyone's fearful of him, and his clouded worldview of, if you hurt a kid, I will kill you, but then he has no problem killing anyone else. It's just like, he's a very proud warrior who I think by traveling with Rudy and Eris over probably the next season there, it's going to be so interesting to see how his psyche will evolve, including someone like Rudy, who, if we got in one episode such an interesting roller coaster of a mini arc here, imagine what the next 12 episodes will look like. Most importantly, the thing I'm most interested in is Paul's adventures and whatever that's going to look like. I mean, we have our girl Roxy here teaming up with former adventurers who worked with Paul, wishing that he got killed. So that's going to be interesting. I'm wondering if Roxy and Paul will kind of like overlap as they're adventuring, because he's saying like, you know, I honestly don't have to worry about you, Rudy. At first I was like, wait, is this bad parenting? But I was like, you know what? Out of everything Paul has seen with Rudy growing up, the fact that he could send his son away so early to tutor, that's probably the one character you don't have to worry about, and he should put his priorities elsewhere. That's like one of the few things I can fully agree with Paul. I'm like, you know what, Paul? Just trusting Rudy will probably be okay. Honestly, makes total sense. This was a great ride, and I think definitely one of the standout episodes of these 11 episodes. And it's gonna be sad not to be able to come up every Sunday to watch this show, but I think the wait will be worth it. We'll know that the next 12 episodes, it won't dip in quality. The animation was so good in this show, and I loved the color palette and how detailed every little piece of the world was. From buildings to stands that were selling things, the clothing that characters were wearing. I've seen plenty of like just horse or anthropomorphic design type characters, but just the way this asshole looked in this show was completely different, and that goes for every character and every little piece of the world of Jobless Reincarnation. And honestly, I'm so excited for more. Definitely one of my most anticipated summer anime of this year, and I'm excited. I mean, this was a great finale, I would have to say. It was satisfying. There's a bit of a tease of like what's to come without completely blue-ballsing you all in the process. I'm excited, and I'm sure most fans of this show are as well. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on episode 11, and what was your personal favorite moment to leave off on for this season. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, show your support, and hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.